and welcome to this week's YouTube video. Today I'm going to show you how I painted this cat in Procreate. This artwork was done over 4 hours, so it is not possible to show you it brushstroke by brushstroke, but I will break the principles down of how I did it so that if you want to have a go at this fine art style in Procreate yourself, you will have an idea of how to do it. I would suggest starting with a good reference photo, something in profile as I did here, as it gives you strong lines. Look at the movement of your photo and try and describe it in a single mark. Here my movement is going downwards in this direction. Why is this important? I can create a real sense of movement in this piece if I place my brush strokes in this downwards motion. What else should I consider? The strength of this image lies in the animal's profile, but also the dark against the light. I am going to keep this monochromatic. Colour will not add anything. Black against white creates drama, and that is what I want. I also need to integrate that cat in some way into its background. Even with a strong value contrast, I can create a good relationship between object and background with my brush strokes and loose, undefined edges. Before I show you the time-lapse video, I just want to mention the brushes that I used. These were the turpentine brush, the wet acrylic brush, wet misty brush. This one is not included in the Procreate brush set, I purchased it, and a selection of textured brushes like the stucco and charcoal brushes. You'll see when I first start laying my brush marks with the turpentine brush, I am trying to get that movement downwards that I spoke about in the introduction. It takes me several attempts to get the right strokes. Notice how large those strokes are. I've covered that canvas in 3 strokes. I am working with transparent paint at about 80% opacity. I am using this value range on my red colour picker, and I'm sticking to the left-hand edge. If you are working in monochrome, make sure it's as far left as you can go. Otherwise, you'll end up with tinges of red in your artwork. I have the silhouette of my cat on my top layer to keep my drawing correct. I start to block in my cat using the wet acrylic brush on about 70 to 80% opacity. I've started a new layer for my cat. This will allow me to add lighter value in the areas around my cat. I know I want it to be dark against the light, but at this stage I am not sure how light I want to go. Keeping your object and background separate is a good idea as it keeps my artwork flexible. I am painting with rigour, moving my hand more like this and less like this. I don't have to worry about the light value affecting my cat negatively as it is disappearing underneath my object. To create texture in my background, I am using my wet misty brush. A noise brush or a noise blender will do the same thing. It gives a really lovely grainy effect. For the cat's face, I am using a combination of all my brushes depending upon the marks I want to create. I am still laying paint on top of paint at about 70 to 80% opacity. Make sure you don't over-suggest your curves. A shape drawn like this looks a lot more interesting and realistic than a shape drawn like this. I'm also softening my edges a little by trying to break my solid dark lines. I am using my turpentine brush to do this. It just softens the edges a little. Remember, super sharp edges generally do not look realistic. As this is a very strong edge here and here, I need to create a bit of variety. So I am pulling out my strokes a little along that sharp edge to create interest. Notice how I am continually readjusting that background as I add more detail to the cat. At this stage, I am still not sure how light I am going to go against that cat. I am adjusting by eye. I am trying to balance the dark values and the light values all together. When I add too much light, it can throw out the dark area. So it is very much a case of me trying it to see if it works. For the cat's body, I am using larger strokes and sticking with my turpentine brush and wet acrylic brush. I am trying not to lose that lovely large brush strokes that I created right at the start of the painting. And so I am being quite selective with what I lay down. Across the back there are far less strokes, and I only really build it up in the area here and here to create a sense of form and volume that you get from the photo. It is a good idea to have a variety of edges in your artwork between hard, soft and lost. This will create realism and interest. Wet brushes will help you create a much softer edge than harder brushes, and they allow you to push and pull your layers around. Experiment with these brushes using various transparencies. It's only by experimenting with your brushes that you'll understand how to use them and what they can do. I'm not super disciplined with my layers other than keeping my cat and background separate. When I like what I've done, I just start a new layer, and if you look closely, you'll see a lot of the white adjustments were done on new layers. I can count about 3 new layers. It's easier if I am not sure if it's going to work just to start a new layer. I hope you will be inspired to have a go at doing your own artwork in this style in Procreate. I hope you have enjoyed today's video and found it useful. Please like and subscribe if you can, and check out my website sarahhallidayart.com, where you will find examples of my work and also details of online classes that I run. Thank you for watching, and see you for the next one.